All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Dumpster Dive series where I talk about games considered bad or forgotten. And today we're talking about we're talking about the DmC reboot, huh? I kind of like this game. I think the script isn't gonna sound like it, but I promise I have nice things to say about the game at the very end of this video. I promise. You see, after DMC 4 was released, it was considered a commercial success. However, it had low comparative sales to the other games Capcom released at the same time. So, not really knowing which direction to go with the series, they decided to try and reboot it. And after seeing Ninja Theory's work on Heavenly Sword, the DMC team thought that they would be a perfect fit for making a new DMC game. And what I can assume is around 2009-ish, they started working on this new DMC game, and we'd get the first trailer for the DMC reboot at Tokyo Game Show 2010. I didn't write this in the script, and I realized I don't know why I didn't. The fan reception to this trailer was not very good. People were not excited about this new direction they wanted to take DMC, and especially Dante in. I should try to emphasize this, because I don't know if I wrote this down in the script. During this time in Japan, around the late 2000s till about, I want to say even going into 2015 even, it was wildly considered that what people wanted to capitalize on was this, like, the Call of Duty market, I guess is a good way to put it. And you ended up getting games like RE6, the DMC reboot, a litany of, like, cover shooter gray slop that people were trying to make to replicate. Like, I think, like, every Japanese company had a Gears of War clone. They really wanted to capitalize on the Western market because they thought that that would be the most profitable thing to do. I mean, they wouldn't be entirely wrong. Capcom made it out a little scot-free, but I feel like the DMC reboot and RE6 kind of they made it out of the pit okay compared to some of their other competitors. And a lot of this trailer that was shown off at Tokyo Game Show 2010 was met with a lot of disgust and anger. Fans just really didn't like it. Nobody really liked the very edgy take. I saw some people who said that they did like this change towards Dante, but for the most part, nobody really liked it. Hell, even Kamiya himself didn't like it. And all this backlash on Dante's new design very clearly led to some changes that you see in-game. Because I'm just going to put them side by side on screen right now. Dante from the trailer and Dante from the actual game don't look too different, but Dante from the game clearly looks less edgy. Really quick, if you want to skip the story stuff and play it for yourself, skip to the timestamp on the screen. It's okay. I'll wait. You guys gonna pick up Black Ops 7? The game opens with Mundus on the phone, and he threatens the president. You know, he's got to show how powerful he is. But then he realizes he has one last loose end to tie up, that being Dante. Then cuts to Dante partying at a club full of demons, where he's being watched, and we got to show how edgy and cool Dante is. So he takes these two girls back to his trailer. This is supposed to be how Dante gets found by the Hunter Demon, and Cat, I guess, too. But, like, did we need to see Dante have sex? Anyways, we get to see the best character in the game, Bob Barbas. Actual best character in this game. He is just written to be a Fox newscaster. That is the entire bit. But after waking up, Cat knocks on Dante's door and tells him that he's in danger, just before the Hunter Demon shows up and drags him into Limbo. Really quick, I gotta touch on this. Limbo is like an other world for DMC, but that's not the important part. You fight all the demons in Limbo instead of in the real world, and the city's also called Limbo City. I'm drinking Rollin' Rock on the Rollin' Rocker. Anyways, Dante gets this sick-ass scene of putting on his clothes. He's flying through the air. Everything's covering his dick, I guess. Am I allowed to say dick? I'm like 4 minutes in. This video isn't monetized, so it's fine. Oh, I can't forget. Dante opened the door butt-ass naked, like on a busy pier. And Cat's just staring at his little rebellion. Anyways, Cat helps lead Dante down the pier so he can pick up his guns and his jacket. Also, his rebellion is like just a weapon he can summon on his back. It's pretty cool, actually. But Cat takes Dante down the pier, helping navigate him, and we end up getting a fight with the Hunter Demon, and it's a pretty mid-ass boss fight. He kind of does nothing, and he can't really kill you. Like, if you're just playing, he can't really kill. I'll talk about the bosses later. Oh boy, well, we'll talk about the bosses later. After beating the Hunter Demon, though, we get probably the best cutscene in the game.
Game over.
Son of Sparta.
Son of who?
You have been found. You are dead. Just like your mother.
Or mother. I don't know my mother, but if you're calling me a son of a bitch, you wouldn't be the first. My mother. I barely remember her.
And then it hits you with tonal whiplash like that. I don't know. But after that, Dante's walking outside and Cat pulls up next to him and he finally agrees to go meet her boss, who we find out is Virgil, you know, Dante's twin brother that he doesn't know he has. Although the cutscene where Dante and Virgil finally meet for the first time always makes me laugh because Dante's reaction here is just so damn funny. But after talking, Virgil takes Dante to their childhood home to help him remember his past and to learn more about his powers. But while running around the house, Dante remembers more of his past and what happened to his mother, remembering that she gave her life to save his and Virgil's, and finally remembering that Virgil's his brother. Also, maybe it would show up in like a second game, but Virgil mentions that Sparta's alive, just banished forever. But like, where's my DmC 2, Capcom? After Dante gets out of limbo from the house, he takes a second and says he wants to know more and know who's responsible. And then Virgil makes this silly ass face, which leads into Mission 3, which have Virgil and Dante talking in a back alley about Eva and Sparta falling in love and having children, and how Sparta betrayed Mundus. And we also find out that Nephilim, that's what Dante and Virgil are the only beings that can slay a demon king. Virgil also tells Dante that Mundus only thinks one Nephilim had been born, and that they had both been hidden well as the fact that they were both given a weapon by their fathers so they could eventually fight back, respectively being Dante's rebellion and Virgil's Yamato. Really quick, this monologue is probably my favorite thing in the entire game, as it does away with how the game usually presents things through usually pictures that kind of slide a little bit. Instead, it uses the back alley graffiti to show us exactly what Virgil's talking about at that moment. And I think it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool use of the world. You never really see anything like this again, but that's not important. Yeah, they did really well with this one. That's all that matters. Although it is a little silly, they just show us like straight up the Yamato rebellion. Like, I get the point, but it is really funny. This is supposed to be like some random back alley graffiti, and there's just that. As they're walking out of the tunnel, whoa, dude, what they got in Limbo City? Where can I get a demon collaborator finds Dante and drags him into Limbo, and Virgil tells him he'll find Cat to get him out. Really quick, Mission 3 exists for no other reason than to give us Angel Boost, and if you are playing this on like a subsequent playthrough where you already have Angel Boost unlocked, you straight up can just run to the end of the mission. That is it. Why not put this in like a bigger mission? Whatever. After getting back to the real world, Virgil tells Dante that Mundus runs the most powerful investment bank in the entire world, which feels a little on the nose, but oh well. But we're told that Mundus likes to keep his humans monitored and docile using the Raptor News Corporation, and by using the world's most popular soft drink, Virility. Get it? Cause like soda's bad for you. Virgil then tells Dante they need to get Mundus away from the Hellgate since it makes him immortal. So then they plan to take out the Virility Factory and the Raptor News Network. So first they head to Virility Factory. And at the start of Mission 4, Virgil tells Dante to stay low because they're aware of him now. In turn, Dante slaps a can of virility out of a guy's hand, says it'll kill you, and then gets spotted and dragged into limbo immediately, where he has to fight his way out. To get out of limbo, Dante has to take out some cameras and move through the city as it tries to kill him. By the way, really quick, because I don't think I said this a minute ago for some reason, the entire idea behind Limbo is a living city that wants to kill Dante, which is a cool concept that they never fully capitalize on well enough. But, you know, I like the idea. Kat finds a way out of Limbo for Dante and also says it's chaos out here, but when we see the real world, everything's fine. Kat also points out that he can get out through the big window in the back of the church. As he tries to reach it though, the ground shifts and tries to kill him. Finally, he gets out and we get this glorious one-liner that is probably the best thing in the game.
I just seem to drag on forever. Church.
Come on, I gotta throw this game a bone here and there. This joke lands really well. This is a Dante joke. If Dante made this joke, I would think this is something they wrote for original Dante. Mission 5 opens with Dante and Kat arriving at the Virility Factory, and they open up to each other a bit about their past. Kat tells Dante that she was told she was crazy and how Virgil saved her. And Dante tries to relate to Kat's struggles by talking about how he was told he was crazy when he was younger, and about his fight against the demons. This cutscene always felt like it was opening up Dante and Kat's relationship for more to come, but they never really land. But I think it's more because the game never really gives them enough time. I do think their relationship is kinda cute, and I think it probably would have been expanded on considering how this game ends. But, you know, we'll never know. We'll never know. Really quick, I just have to talk about this fuck-ass plot point for a second. Dante's face is plastered on TV, and Mundus knows what he looks like. So why the hell is he allowed to walk into the Virility Factory? No problem. No guards stop him. No cameras see him. Like, the Virility Factory is considered so important to Mundus, you'd think he'd have it under lock and key against him. Also, like, no one sees Dante and says something. I don't know. This shit pisses me off because I think about it all the time. Him and Kat just waltz into such an important place. And they also just walk into the employees only area with literally no problem. They make their way to the storage room, and Kat tells Dante she's been here before, except it was bigger, but it's probably because she was a kid and in limbo. Dante asks why she was in limbo as a kid, and she tells him it was a way to escape from her nightmares. And then he does whatever this face is. I got no clue, man. Kat makes a gateway into limbo for Dante, and he has to fight his way back to the mixing room to reach the succubus, ending Mission 5. At the start of Mission 6, Dante has to jump down a tunnel with a fan at the bottom, so Kat pulls out an egg timer. Dante even jokes, "Is that an egg timer?" And then she just tells him, "It's a Wiccan spell." And then she turns it's an egg timer. She turns the egg timer, and it rotates limbo 90 degrees. I don't know. It's wonderful. It's peak. This entire tunnel, you have like a minute and a half to get all the way down it. There's enemies in your way, but usually you could just run right past literally all of them and just end this part of the mission by just reaching the end of the tunnel. Here, we finally reach the second boss of the game, the succubus. And I feel like everybody's seen this intro, but I'll still play it for you anyways.
So you must be the secret ingredient.
Who are you?
I'm your prom date, you ugly sack of shit. You missed it. My name, by the way, is Dante.
Dante, son of Spada and Eva, the whole.
Yeah, but you can call me Dante the Demon Killer. Has a nice ring to it, don't you think?
You want to kill me? You can't kill me. I'm 1,200 years old.
You don't look a day over 12,000.
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Give that man his Reddit gold for that writing. It's so peak. It's so peak. But this boss also sucks. And don't worry, I will be talking about the bosses in the combat section of this video. However, Dante beats the succubus and he drops this fantastic one-liner.
I think you're all mixed up.
We then get a cutscene of we're gonna skip over this part. I don't wanna. Anyways, we then get to mission 7, where Virgil tells Dante that their next target is Bob Barbas, the demon who runs the Raptor News Network. So per usual, Dante must enter Limbo and head to the tower. On his way to the tower though, the bridge is broken and he helps a demon named Phineas who's getting attacked. Phineas tells Dante he can help him reach the tower if Dante helps him get his eye back first. Dante agrees and chases the harpies back to their nest to get it. Once he brings the eye back to Phineas, Phineas recognizes him and says he knew his father, and he can see Sparta in him. He also thanks Dante for helping him, which takes us to mission 8. Phineas takes Dante to a statue of Azael and tells Dante about the Nephilim being hunted and killed for being so powerful, and he tells him to reach his full potential, Azael might hold the key, and this is where Dante unlocks his devil trigger. And whoa, look, his hair turns white. Unlike, the thing he says. Why did they say this in the beginning of the game?
Not in a million years.
He then heads back to Phineas, who tells him Mundus' weakness is that Lilith is pregnant with his child. Phineas warns Dante about pissing off Mundus and then fixes the path to the Raptor News Tower. Here, Dante fights Bob Barbas, and 2/3 through the way of the fight, Bob taunts Dante by showing him that the police have found the Order's base and are currently raiding it. So Dante finishes off Bob Barbas and rushes back to the base where he still sees cops trying to get in. He fights his way through the base and tries to find Kat and Virgil. And once he does meet up with Kat, he's stuck in Limbo. So Kat needs some mark stuff he can pull down so they can reach Virgil. By the way, why does this section even exist? I don't know. Whatever. And when they do finally reach Virgil, they realize that he's also stuck in Limbo. And Dante needs to fight off the demons to give Virgil and Kat time to arm the self-destruct and wipe the files from the system so Mundus doesn't get his hands on them. After fighting off the demons, Dante is told there's no way out for Kat in the real world, right before the bomb is about to go off and the police are about to break through the door. In an attempt to hopefully prevent Kat from getting hurt, he tells her how to properly surrender to the cops and that he'll come back for her. But the cops don't care. They shoot her and drag her away. Here we really see Virgil's breaking point. From being like a good guy to... I don't know why Virgil goes off the deep end like this. I'm not even really sure. I've tried talking with other people. I have no clue. He points out Mundus doesn't know he's Dante's brother or Nephilim, as Dante comments on how strong Kat is to have held out against the torture, and Virgil immediately tells Dante they can't save her. But Dante tells Virgil about how Lilith carries Mundus' child, so they use that as a bargaining tool to get Kat back. Virgil agrees after realizing Dante won't back down, so Dante is off to Lilith's bar. And after he gets spotted almost immediately, and Lilith forces him to fight all the way to her through her games. And in the end, he reaches her and needs to fight her. Oh, sorry, I mean he needs to fight oh, Jesus Christ. Talk about a face only a mother could love, huh? And after beating her, Dante takes her hostage as a trade offer for Kat. Mundus agrees to it, and he was probably going to betray them or to shoot them after Lilith got away from them. But that's not important. We finally made it to the most infamous scene of this game. I have no clue how this made it through any boardroom or any meeting, anything. But this scene is fucking crazy. I'm just going to let the whole thing play for you, because if you haven't seen it, Well, it's something.
Move. The fuck?
And then he proceeds to make this face like he wasn't the one who just shot her. Hell, he doesn't even wait for Kat to get closer to them first before doing this. And it requires Dante to go run out and get shot a bunch of times by the police while he has to drag Kat back to the car to make sure she gets in safely. What was Virgil thinking? Also, I didn't notice this until like I was writing the script for this video. There's like 6 cops here. This is like a very important trait. Why is there only 6 cops here? Once Dante gets Kat in the car though, her and Virgil drive off and Mundus unleashes Limbo onto like this part of the city. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how that works. I don't know. But because this part of the city is pulled into Limbo, stuff starts flying around and Dante has to move stuff out of the way so the car doesn't get hit by it. I'm not sure why everything keeps slowing down too. Maybe Dante's just moving that fast. After they get away with Kat, she comes up with a plan to reach Mundus, so they have to head to his tower where Dante has to fight through enemies and Virgil has to help by disabling the security in the building. Dante has to fight all the way to the top floor and break into the core where Mundus is. Here in the core, he has to fight all the way to the top again to reach Mundus' lair where he meets up with Virgil. And then we get this beautiful scene.
We made it. We make quite the team.
I'm stronger.
I'm smarter.
I'm better looking.
Mundus is behind the vault door. Let's not keep him waiting. And I got a bigger dick.
God, I'm so glad this section's almost over. After they get to the vault door, Dante quite literally has to rage bait Mundus so they can get him away from the Hellgate so Virgil can break it. Dante gets tackled out of the building and almost killed by Mundus because Virgil is slow as hell. But luckily, just in time, Virgil breaks the Hellgate and then shows up to stab Mundus in the back. Thankfully, before he kills Dante, and they toss him off the building. But he sadly lands on the Virgil mobile. But of course, he's not dead yet. He's not dead yet. He starts pulling in stuff to rebuild and make a giant monster body. Makes like a giant monster body. But Virgil distracts Mundus so Dante can damage him. But after he hits Mundus, Mundus throws Dante against a building. Luckily, Virgil can teleport to save Dante, but right after this, when they're inside the building, Virgil gets grabbed and pulled into Mundus's big monster body where he has to fight the smaller real Mundus body. And this leads to the final boss of the game, Mundus. Dante defeats the big body. This helps Virgil get the upper hand, and Dante's able to swoop in and cut Mundus down. And with that, everyone lives happily ever after. But it is a DmC game, so we still have one thing left to deal with, Virgil, who, now that the demons are gone, wants to rule over humanity, and Dante realizes that this has been his plan all along. As he tells Dante that humans need protection to keep them safe from themselves, and Virgil continues to diminish how important Cat has been to defeating Mundus, so Dante and Virgil are finally forced to come to blows. And of course, Dante wins by stabbing Virgil in the chest, but just before he kills Virgil, Cat stops him because she doesn't want him to kill Virgil. Dante helps Virgil to his feet and tells him the world is under his protection now, and Virgil tells him he's not human and he never will be. And then he picks up his Yamato, turns back for one last time as he opens the portal, and says he loved Dante. After that, Dante says he doesn't know who he is anymore. His cat tells him he's Dante, nothing more, nothing less, and he turns to face the sun on a rising new day. Anyways, enough of the story. It's time for the... I won't go super in depth here, but I want to cover the combat since I think it's pretty solid. To make the combat simpler, they made quite a few changes. Huge ones being after 2 hits on any weapon, it'll flash, giving you a visual indicator on when you can do the 3rd hit of combos. Also, you're given a pretty generous amount of time to swap to another weapon to land the 3rd hit of that weapon's combo. As for example, you can do the first 2 hits of Rebellion, and then swap to your axe for its big triple slam. Another big change is the lack of a lock-on button, which for the most part is rarely ever an issue. Quick little editor's note here. While I was looking for stuff, while I was writing the last section of this video, I had come to the realization that the remastered version that's on Xbox and PlayStation has rebalanced combat. So everything in this video has been strictly about the PC port and the original release of the game. I don't know how I didn't realize that. And at some point I might come back and make another video where I fully redo everything in here, but talking specifically about the remaster. I've seen people like Sphere Hunter say that that's probably the best way to play the game. So I take their word for it because the original version of this game isn't particularly great. And your launcher now has a dedicated button, which is B or circle, depending on which console you play on. And I think these changes are pretty solid. I think they make the game simpler while still giving you a decent amount of freedom to make combos. Definitely not as much as mainline DmC though, but I think that's okay. Also, in this game you get 2 sets of weapons, that being angel and demon weapons. Demon weapons are slow and hit hard, and angel weapons are fast and typically used for crowd control, as well as the weapons having their respective grapples. Demon grab pulls enemies towards you, and angel grab pulls you towards enemies. And for the demon weapons, you have the Arbiter and the Eryx. The Arbiter is a slow axe that does nothing too crazy. Its launcher sends out a line that launches all the enemies up in the air. The real show stealer is its delayed 3-hit combo. It chunks enemies and boss's health bar, and doubly so in Devil Trigger. Next is the Eryx. It's Dante's close range melee weapon and is another good tool for damage. It's faster to use than the Arbiter, but for max damage it has to be charged. And weirdly enough, this feels like a harsh step back from the Beowulf from DMC3. I will say, I don't think most of the weapons in this game are an improvement on Dante's arsenal whatsoever, and they get outdone when DMC5 comes out. Hell, they were outdone by DMC4, where Dante has such a weird arsenal, but it is still fun to mess with, and they're interesting weapons. I can't really say that about this game. Now on to the angel weapons. We have the Osiris, which is a far-reaching scythe that's very useful at hitting groups. It doesn't hit very hard, but as you keep hitting enemies over time, the damage ramps up. And the last weapon are the Aquila, which is a pair of shurikens that Dante can toss around him to hit huge groups, or he can stick them into enemies and pull them towards him. They don't do much damage, and they don't ramp up like Osiris, but they got a funny spinny move. so they're alright in my book. As always though, simplifying things always comes with a weird trade-off. To use the demon weapons, you have to hold down the right trigger, and to use the angel weapons, you have to hold down the left trigger. And you have to hold them down the entire time you're using the weapon. This isn't the craziest deal breaker, but having to hold down the trigger the entire time feels kind of weird, and I'm sure there could have been a system where you could have just swapped it, but whatever. Ignoring all that though, let's talk about the bosses. I have almost nothing nice to say about this section of the video. The bosses in the DmC reboot range from bad to downright horrible. Not because they're hard or do anything too stupid and impossible to deal with. In fact, they do so little, it's kind of insane. First up we have is the Hunter Demon. The first time you encounter the Hunter Demon, it is supposed to be a tutorial boss. He does nothing. He will just keel over and die after being shot and hit quite a few times. Even when you go back through Bloody Palace, he still isn't much more of a challenge. He has a few new moves, but nothing that'll give you a whole hard time. The second boss is the Succubus, whose whole gimmick is that there's 3 platforms in her arena. Well, she'll throw up on one and you have to move to one of the other 2. And she also has 3 health bars. Once you pull off one of the tubes connecting her to the ceiling, she'll break the platform that you're on, and then you have to move over to a different one, and you just do this 3 times until you kill her. That's kind of the whole thing. Also, when her head's exposed, she takes extra damage from her head. Third, Bob Barbius, who's deadass just a floating head. But his whole fight is avoiding getting hit by room-wide projectiles and slamming down on the little circles around the arena to actually stun him so you can finally damage him. Once you take away one of his health bars, you'll pull yourself into one of his eyes and it'll change to a different perspective. The first time, it'll cut to Dante when he's on the pier from the beginning of the game, and it's shot from like a helicopter's point of view. And the entire time you are just fighting an endless wave of enemies, Bob Barbius is just shit-talking Dante, and it's peak. And then, when it happens again, and you take away the second health bar, you'll pull yourself back into his eye again, and you will be transported to the virility factory this time, where it's being shot from like a CCTV camera, and you're just fighting another endless wave of enemies as Bob Barbius interviews other people to talk about Dante instead. And I think this is fun. I think it's, a more interesting way to keep you engaged, because some of the other fights just don't do that shit, man. Fourth is Mundus Baby. This fight's whole gimmick is he has an eye on the side that you need to pull down with your demon grab, and then you can pull yourself towards it, hit it a bunch of times, and eventually the eye on his forehead will open up. You hit that enough, you take away his health bar, he'll fall over, and you can pull Lilith out of his stomach and hit her because she's the health bar that's gotta go. It's kind of disgusting. But also, this boss fight does nothing. You will usually just beat him just like that. Other than some weird camera angle issues, like this boss fight for some reason has Soul's camera sometimes. Not sure what that's about. I think the baby might just be too big. Fifth, we got Mundus, who's unironically the worst fucking fight in this game. I have nothing positive to say about this fight. He doesn't really look all that cool, and nothing happens. The first part of this fight, he will be trying to slam you with one of his fists. You break the fist, and then you do it to the other one, and that's the entire phase. And they are extremely avoidable. And then, when you get to his second phase, he'll try to throw, like, meteors at you, which you reflect back at him, and they do, like, 60% of his health. It's kind of crazy. And on top of that, if you don't just kill him there, he will get close to the stage and scream, where you could just hit him. And that's the entire fight. I forgot to mention, there is a point where he can, like, make the floor... He makes the floor burn, so you have to move over to a second platform, kind of like the Succubus fight. But that's it. And lastly, we can't forget about Virgil. I don't have anything too crazy to say about the Virgil fight. It's not particularly hard, but at the same time, it's not all that bad. I think it is a Virgil fight. Virgil will do a lot of stuff that you expect him to do. Sword summon, he has his doppelganger. But when he misses most of his attacks, you're able to just demon grab him and hit him a couple times. You also can't just run up and hit him, because just like in other DMC games, he will just parry your hits. And also you can't just shoot him, because he'll just parry gunshots. It's fun. It's cool. It feels like a cheap, watered down Virgil fight, but it does feel like a Virgil fight. And once he gets around 20%, he will keep his doppelganger summoned, and his doppelganger will fight with him. And then once he reaches one hit, his doppelganger will parry any incoming attacks towards Virgil. Virgil will kneel down on the ground and start healing just a little bit, but any attacks that go towards Virgil, no matter how stupid the angle is or where you're even standing from, the doppelganger will parry everything. This is where you have to use the devil trigger, which I will talk about in a minute because I fucking hate this shit. You launch the doppelganger up with your devil trigger, and then you kill Virgil. And that's the fight. Really quick, before I talk about the devil trigger though, I'd like to talk about the color-coded enemies. Because I learned that in the remastered version of this game, that only exists on console sadly, they rebalanced it so you can juggle the color-coded enemies with any weapon. However, in the original release and like the PC version, using something like Rebellion on a demon enemy or an angel weapon on a demon enemy will cause the attack to like fully reflect, which causes Dante to like stagger. It's not fun, but it's kind of what makes the color-coded enemies a little more ass originally. But it is cool that they fixed that in the remaster, which I clearly just need to go back and play at this point. The demon color-coded enemies actually aren't even all that bad. They're a little frustrating because they're still color-coded enemies, and that's annoying. However, they take a lot of damage because the demon weapons do a shit ton of damage. The more concerning part tends to be with angel weapons, which really aren't designed to do damage, except for the Osiris, but the Osiris has to ramp up in damage first, and that's just kind of whatever. But the angel weapons aren't really designed to do damage, so when you have to take out an angel enemy, it's a lot less fun. And the last thing I want to talk about, because this video is starting to get pretty long, is Dante's Devil Trigger, which in other DMC games is usually really cool because it gives Dante a cool look. You know, it can make him faster, it can change his attributes like it does in DMC 3, depending on what weapon you have. Or it's just a huge power-up. That's usually what it is. It's just a huge power-up. In the DMC reboot, using your Devil Trigger around low-level demons will cause them to float. So your option here is to use a demon grab to pull them towards you from the air so you could combo them on the ground. They still have low gravity, however, though. Or you can do an air combo. Why not just give me a huge power-up and not launch them into the air? I don't know what the thought process here was, but it really does not land the way they really wanted to. All things considered, I really do like DMC Reboot's combat. I don't think it's the most atrocious thing ever. The color-coded enemies are kind of a headache here and there, but after seeing everything, I clearly got to play the remastered version, and my issues with that will be partially alleviated at least. But I do think that the combat is simpler and a really good onboarding process for newer hack and slash players. Yes, Bayonetta did come out 4 years prior as a relatively more simple hack and slash game compared to something like DMC 4, and that's a really good onboarding game. This game's a little too simple, of course, but I do think it is still a good place to start for anybody who's interested in DMC or hack and slash games, and I would suggest picking it up. So, with that, let's close out this video. really quick, I want to say, if you made it this far, thank you very much. This video was kind of annoying to make. I clearly don't know how to script or record anything, which is blatantly obvious. But if you made it this far, thank you very much. I appreciate it. But, you know, enough of that. I do think DmC Reboot is worth your time. If you could pick this game up for a relatively cheap price, I think it is a relatively enjoyable game. It only takes about 6-7 hours to beat. Don't laugh. If you can, my suggestion is that you pick up the remastered version, which is only on consoles, sadly, as it is the better version of this game. I think this video might have been a little too harsh on the DmC Reboot. However, I do enjoy this game. This game has its charms. It is definitely a very interesting game to be included in the DmC series. You know, it's not canon or anything, but it is definitely very strange. And everything in this game kind of feels like of its time. And also, like, a bunch of the messaging in this game is like so fucking on the nose. It's kind of hilarious. But I think it's a cool attempt to try and do something different with Dante. And, you know, this is what we got for it. They could have done worse. That's all I say. And with that, I really want to say, if you made it here, thank you very much. I will hopefully be working on the next video by the time you are watching this, especially by this part of the video. I should be working on the next video. I do want to say, if you have any suggestions for a future dumpster dive video, I am more than happy to hear it. There's plenty of games that could be covered on this series, but I'm more than happy to talk about just about anything, especially a game that is a little more on the obscure side, like I did with the Bouncer a year ago. I promise there won't be a long break between videos. Sadly, I do gotta say, if you liked it and you made it this far, like and subscribe, because YouTube hates everybody, just like every social media platform. I will hopefully be back within the next month, 2 months, to upload the next video. So I will see you then. Peace out, everybody.